The camera pans across a spotless marble floor. A janitor kneels, mopping in silence, his reflection glinting under fluorescent light. Then, heels click. A woman's voice slices through the echo. Veronica, CEO. You missed a spot, janitor. The man doesn't answer. He wipes again. She smirks. What's that on your arm, some prison tattoo? The janitor freezes. The faint outline of an eagle tattoo peeks from his sleeve, numbers beneath it, worn but precise. He rolls his sleeve down quietly. Just a reminder. She scoffs and walks away, never realizing she just insulted the man who once saved her father's life. The mop hit the marble floor at 11:47 p.m. Ethan Cole moved in silence, the kind you learn when you've got nothing left to prove. His hands were calloused, his back ached, but the floor shined like a mirror by the time he finished each section. Nobody noticed good work. They only noticed mistakes. He squeezed the mop into the yellow bucket and pushed it toward the executive wing. The hallway stretched long and empty, lined with glass offices where people made more in an hour than he made in a year. Ethan didn't resent them. Resentment was a luxury he couldn't afford. His phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Lily's fever spiked again. Can you come? He closed his eyes. Not now. Not during his shift. He texted back, on my way at 6 a.m. Tell her daddy loves her. The elevator dinged behind him. Veronica Pierce stepped out, heels clicking like gunshots on the polished floor. She was all sharp edges, tailored black suit, hair pulled back tight, eyes that cut through excuses. The kind of woman who built empires while others built dreams. She stopped when she saw him. You missed a spot, she said, pointing at a section near the window. Ethan looked. The floor was flawless. He'd been over it twice. Yes, ma'am. He moved toward it anyway. She watched him kneel, watched him scrub a floor that didn't need scrubbing. Her assistant, a young guy named Trevor, smirked from behind her. Is this what we pay you for? Veronica's voice was ice. To waste time pretending to work? Ethan didn't look up. No, ma'am. Then why are you still on your knees? He stood slowly, water dripping from the mop. Because you told me to clean it. Trevor laughed. Veronica didn't. Do you know how much this company is worth? She asked. No, ma'am. $4 billion. Do you know what that means? Ethan met her eyes for the first time. They were green, cold, calculating. It means you don't need to be here at midnight watching me clean. The hallway went silent. Trevor stopped laughing. Veronica's jaw tightened. What's your name? She asked. Ethan Cole. Well, Ethan Cole, let me make something clear. You are replaceable. This floor is replaceable. Your job is replaceable. Do you understand? He nodded. Yes, ma'am. She turned to leave, then paused. Her eyes dropped to his forearm, where his sleeve had rolled up. A tattoo, black ink, sharp lines, wings surrounding a series of numbers. She stared at it for half a second longer than necessary. Then she walked away. Trevor followed, still grinning. Man, you're lucky she didn't fire you on the spot. Ethan waited until they were gone. He pushed the mop bucket back toward the supply closet, his heart pounding harder than it should. His phone buzzed again. Another text from the hospital. He ignored it. He had 3 more floors to finish before dawn. When he finally clocked out at 5:58 a.m., the sun was just starting to break over the city skyline. Ethan walked to the bus stop, his body screaming for sleep, but sleep would have to wait. Lily needed him. He sat on the bench and stared at his reflection in the bus shelter glass. Tired eyes, grey creeping into his beard. Hands that used to build things now spent every night erasing the evidence that anyone had been there at all. His phone buzzed one more time. Not the hospital this time. A different number. Unknown. The message was short. We need to talk. It's been long enough. Ethan stared at the screen. His thumb hovered over the delete button. Then he saw the attachment. A scanned document. Official letterhead. Stamped in red. Classified. The bus pulled up. The doors hissed open. Ethan didn't move. The driver leaned out. You getting on or not? Ethan stood, shoving the phone into his pocket. "Yeah, I'm coming." But as the bus pulled away from the curb, he couldn't stop thinking about Veronica Pierce's face when she saw his tattoo, that split-second pause, that flicker of recognition she tried to hide. He whispered to himself, so quiet no one else could hear. One day she'll know. The hospital smelled like disinfectant and fear. Ethan hated that smell. It reminded him of the night Claire passed away. He pushed through the double doors on the 4th floor, nodding at the nurse who'd seen him here 100 times before. Room 412, always room 412. The insurance only covered the cheap wing. Lily was awake when he walked in, 7 years old, thin as paper, with her mother's brown eyes and his stubborn chin. She smiled when she saw him, even though the IV in her arm made her wince. "Daddy," she whispered. He sat on the edge of her bed, careful not to disturb the wires. "Hey, princess. How you feeling?" "Tired." She reached for his hand. Her fingers were so small they barely wrapped around 2 of his. "Did you bring the book?" Ethan pulled a worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are from his jacket pocket. "Would I forget?" She grinned. That grin was worth every sleepless night, every insult, every flaw he'd ever scrubbed on his knees. He read to her until her eyelids got heavy. Her breathing slowed, steadied. When she was asleep, he kissed her forehead and stood to leave. "Mr. Cole?" The nurse caught him in the hallway. Her name tag said Rita. She'd been kind to them since day one. "The doctor wants to talk to you before you go." His stomach dropped. "Is she okay?" "Just talk to him." Dr. Patel was young, Indian, glasses too big for his face. He looked tired. Everyone here looked tired. "Mr. Cole, we need to discuss Lily's treatment options." Ethan leaned against the wall. "What's wrong now?" "Her condition isn't improving with standard medication. There's a specialist in Boston, Dr. Reina Ochoa, who's had success with cases like Lily's, but the treatment isn't covered by your insurance." "How much?" Dr. Patel hesitated. $240,000. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. Ethan laughed. Not because it was funny, because what else could he do? "I make $16 an hour cleaning floors. You think I have $250,000 lying around?" "There are programs. I've applied to every program, every grant, every charity that exists." Ethan's voice cracked. "What else do you want from me?" Dr. Patel didn't answer. There was no answer. Ethan left the hospital at 7:43 a.m. He had 19 minutes to get to his second job, stocking shelves at a warehouse across town. He ran for the bus, made it just as the doors were closing. His phone buzzed, the classified message again. He hadn't opened the attachment yet. Didn't want to. The past was a graveyard. He'd buried it for a reason. The warehouse shift blurred into nothing. Boxes, pallets, repeat. His manager yelled at him for moving too slow. Ethan nodded, moved faster, said nothing. When lunch break came, he sat in his car and stared at his phone. The attachment was still there, waiting. He thought about Claire. Met her 10 years ago at a military gala. She was a trauma nurse, sharp and funny and completely unimpressed by his rank. They got married 6 months later in a courthouse ceremony because they couldn't wait. Lily came a year after that. Perfect. Tiny, theirs. Then the accident happened. Claire was driving home from a night shift when a drunk driver ran a red light. She didn't survive the impact. Ethan had been overseas when he got the call. He remembered collapsing in the hangar, remembered his commanding officer catching him before he hit the ground, remembered the sound that came out of his throat, something animal, something broken. He came home 2 days later, held his daughter while she asked where Mommy was, told her Mommy was in heaven, even though he wasn't sure he believed in heaven anymore. A year after that, everything fell apart. The incident, the one nobody talked about, the one that ended his career and put him on a list he couldn't get off. He left the Air Force with an honorable discharge and a tattoo that marked him as something he wasn't allowed to be anymore. Now he cleaned floors. Ethan opened the attachment. The document loaded slowly. Official seal at the top. Department of Defense. His pulse quickened. It was a recall notice. Not for active duty. Something else. A contract position. Private sector. The pay line made his hands shake. $480,000 annually. There was a name at the bottom. Project Supervisor, Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Hale. Ethan's blood went cold. Hale was the man who buried him. The man who made sure nobody would ever know what really happened that night in the desert. Why was Hale reaching out now? After all this time? His phone buzzed again. A new message from the same number. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, the offer disappears, and so does any chance of saving your daughter. Ethan read it 3 times. They knew about Lily. They knew about the medical bills. They knew everything. He deleted the message. Then he stared at the delete button, wondering if he'd just made the worst mistake of his life. His shift ended at 4 p.m. He went home to the 1-bedroom apartment he shared with Lily when she wasn't in the hospital. The rent was late again. The eviction notice was taped to the door. He tore it down, crumpled it, threw it in the trash. Then he sat on the couch and put his head in his hands. The tattoo on his forearm stared back at him. Wings and numbers. A life he couldn't go back to. A life that wouldn't let him go. At 10:30 p.m. he clocked in for his night shift at Pierce Industries. Same mop, same bucket, same floors. But when he passed Veronica Pierce's office, the lights were still on. She was standing at the window, phone pressed to her ear, her face tight with stress. She didn't see him, but he saw her. And for just a second he wondered what she was so afraid of. The gossip started in the break room. Did you see him last night? Just standing there while Pierce tore into him. That was Kelsey from accounting, stirring her coffee like she was stirring drama. Guy's got no backbone, Trevor added, leaning back in his chair. I'd have quit on the spot. He's got a kid, single dad, hospital bills. That was Rita from HR. She actually knew things. Cut him some slack. Still, Kelsey said, there's something off about him, like he's too quiet, too, I don't know, unseen. Ethan heard every word. He was emptying the trash can 3 feet away from them. They didn't even notice him. That was the trick. Move slow, keep your head down, blend into the walls. He tied up the bag and moved on. But Trevor wasn't done. You know what I think? I think he's hiding something. Nobody takes that much abuse unless they've got no other options. What did he do? Prison time? Restraining order? Ethan's jaw tightened. He kept walking. Maybe he's just broken, Kelsey said, almost sad about it. Some people are. He dumped the trash in the compactor outside and stood there for a minute, letting the cold air hit his face. 37 years old, decorated test pilot, engineer who designed fail-safes for billion-dollar aircraft. And now he was the ghost in the hallways. His phone buzzed. Lily's nurse. Fever's down, she's asking for you. He texted back, tell her I'll be there at sunrise. When he came back inside, the executive floor was chaos. Engineers everywhere, laptops open, blueprints spread across tables, voices raised. Ethan pushed his cart toward the conference room to empty the trash, but stopped when he heard Veronica's voice cutting through the noise. I don't care what the simulation says. We have 6 days until the presentation to the Defense Board. 6 days. If this system fails during the live demo, we lose the contract. We lose everything. A man in a grey suit, lead engineer, judging by the way everyone deferred to him, shook his head. Ms. Pierce, the thermal regulation system has a flaw in the core algorithm. We've run it 40 times. It overheats at high altitude every single time. Then fix it. We can't. Not in 6 days. We'd need to rebuild the entire module from scratch. Veronica's face went white. That's not an option. Then we're looking at catastrophic failure during the demo, in front of the DoD, in front of Congress. The engineer's voice dropped. This could end the company. The room went silent. Ethan moved his cart quietly toward the back wall, reaching for the trash bin, but his eyes caught the blueprint on the table. Aerospace thermal systems. He knew that design. He'd seen it before, 7 years ago, different project, same fatal flaw. The engineers kept arguing. Veronica sat down, head in her hands. Ethan picked up the trash bag and left the room. But he couldn't stop thinking about that blueprint. The flaw wasn't in the algorithm, it was in the positioning of the heat exchangers. Offset them by 12 degrees, reroute the coolant flow through a secondary bypass, and the system would stabilize. Simple fix, if you knew what you were looking at. He finished his rounds and went to the break room. Empty now. He grabbed a napkin from the dispenser and pulled a pen from his pocket. His hands moved fast, muscle memory from a life he wasn't supposed to remember. He sketched the thermal system, marked the flaw, drew the solution in clean, precise lines, added calculations in the margins. Then he folded the napkin, walked back to the conference room, and left it on the table next to the blueprint. Nobody saw him. Ghosts don't get seen. He clocked out at 5:47 a.m. and took the bus to the hospital. Lily was asleep when he got there, but she was breathing easier. He sat beside her bed and closed his eyes for 20 minutes. That was all the rest he'd get. Back at Pierce Industries that night, the energy had shifted. Ethan was mopping the executive hallway when he heard footsteps running. Fast. Urgent. Veronica burst out of her office, the napkin in her hand. "Where is he? Where's the engineer who left this?" The lead engineer followed her, breathless. "We tested it. It works perfectly. The system stabilized in every simulation. Whoever designed this fix, I want them found, now." Trevor appeared from around the corner. "Found who?" "Someone left a solution to the thermal problem. Someone who understands aerospace engineering at a level we don't have in-house." Veronica's voice was sharp. "Pull security footage. Find out who was in that conference room between midnight and 6 a.m. Ethan was 3 offices away. He dipped the mop in the bucket, wrung it out, kept moving. Trevor pulled out his phone. On it. 20 minutes later, Ethan was cleaning the elevator bay when he heard Trevor's voice echo down the hall. "Got him." His heart stopped. "Who is it?" Veronica asked. "You're not going to believe this." Ethan kept his back to them, kept mopping. But he could feel their eyes on him now. Trevor walked closer. The janitor, Ethan Cole, he was the only person in that room during the time window. Silence. Then Veronica's heels clicked across the floor. Slow, deliberate. She stopped 5 feet behind him. "Turn around," she said. Ethan didn't move. "I said turn around," and he set the mop down, turned slowly, met her eyes. She held up the napkin. "Did you do this?" He didn't answer. "I'm not asking again. Did you design this fix?" The hallway was dead quiet. Trevor stood behind her, arms crossed. 2 security guards had appeared at the far end, waiting. Ethan looked at the napkin, at the calculations he'd written without thinking, at the life he'd tried to bury. "Yeah," he said finally. "I did." Veronica stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time. "Who are you?" "I'm the janitor." Janitors don't solve billion-dollar engineering problems in 15 minutes on a napkin. Ethan said nothing. She stepped closer. Her voice dropped, dangerous. "I'm going to ask you one more time. Who are you?" He met her gaze, steady, unblinking. "Someone who used to matter." Her eyes flicked down to his forearm. The tattoo, the wings, the numbers. Her face changed. Just a flicker. Recognition, confusion, maybe fear. "Security," she said quietly. "Take him to my office, now." The guards moved in. Ethan didn't resist. As they walked him down the hall, Trevor whispered to Veronica, "You want me to call the police?" She shook her head, still staring at Ethan's back. "No, I want answers." They locked him in her office. 10 minutes passed, 15. Then the door opened. Veronica walked in alone. She closed the door behind her, locked it. Stood there for a moment, studying him like he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Finally she spoke. "I ran your name. Ethan Cole. Honorably discharged from the Air Force 8 years ago. No record of engineering degree, no credentials. Nothing that explains what you just did." "Then you didn't look hard enough," Ethan said. "I looked everywhere." Her voice was ice. "And you know what I found? Nothing. Like you were erased." He didn't respond. She sat on the edge of her desk, arms crossed. "So I'll ask you again, and this time you're going to tell me the truth. Who are you?" Ethan leaned back in the chair, tired. so damn tired of running. You really want to know? Yes. He pulled up his sleeve, showed her the tattoo fully, the wings, the serial number, the designation code that only a handful of people in the world would recognize. Her eyes widened. That's impossible, she whispered. Is it? That program was classified, black level. The pilots, the engineers, everyone involved was erased, Ethan finished. Yeah, I know. Veronica stood up, pacing now. You were part of Project Valkyrie. He didn't confirm it, didn't need to. My father, she stopped, looked at him, really looked at him. My father was on the oversight committee for that project. He was lost in a plane incident 9 years ago. The official report said mechanical failure, but it wasn't mechanical failure, Ethan said quietly. The room went cold. What did you just say? Your father didn't go down because the plane failed. Someone wanted him gone. Veronica's face drained of color. How do you know that? Ethan stood, walked to the window. The city stretched out below them, glittering and indifferent. Because I was flying the escort jet that night, he said, and I'm the one who pulled him out of the wreckage before it went up in flames. Veronica's hand trembled. You're lying. I wish I was. She grabbed her phone. Ethan didn't stop her. She pulled up a photo, old, grainy, a man in a suit standing next to a fighter jet. Her father, younger, smiling. This was taken 3 weeks before he was lost, she said, voice cracking. He told me he was going to Washington for a meeting. Routine. Safe. It wasn't routine. Then what was it? Ethan sat back down, the weight of 8 years pressed against his chest. Your father discovered something. Someone inside the defense contract chain was selling flight data to foreign buyers, not just specs, live telemetry, mission routes, pilot identities. He was going to expose it. Veronica's face went pale, and they tried to stop him. The hit was sloppy, sabotaged the hydraulics mid-flight. I was running escort that night, 2 miles out when I saw his jet start to lose control. I broke protocol, followed him down. You saved him. For 3 minutes. Ethan's voice went flat. We went down in the desert. I pulled him from the cockpit. He was alive, conscious. He looked at me and said, "Find Hale. He knows." Then the fuel ignited. Silence. Veronica's knees buckled. She caught herself on the desk. Marcus Hale. Yeah. He's the one who contacted you, the recall notice. Ethan nodded. Why now, after all this time? Because whatever your father tried to stop, it's happening again, and they need someone expendable to clean it up. Veronica's eyes were wet, but she wasn't crying. She was furious. You've known this for 8 years and said nothing. I was ordered to say nothing. Hale buried the investigation, erased the flight logs, gave me 2 options, disappear or disappear permanently. So I took my daughter and vanished. You became a janitor. I became a shadow. She laughed, bitter, broken. You cleaned the floors of the company my father built, the empire he worked so hard to protect. I didn't know it was yours, not until 3 nights ago when I saw your name on the directory. Veronica walked to the window, stared at the city lights. He used to bring me here when I was a kid, 7th floor, corner office. He'd let me sit in his chair and pretend I was running the company. Her voice cracked. He said I'd do it better than he ever did. He was right. She turned. Don't. You built this. You saved it twice from bankruptcy. You fought off hostile takeovers. Your father would be proud. My father is gone because he tried to do the right thing. Her voice sharpened. And you let me treat you like garbage while you scrubbed the floors he walked on. Ethan stood. You didn't know. I should have. She stepped closer. That tattoo. I saw it that first night. Something about it felt familiar, but I ignored it. I was too busy being cruel. You were protecting your empire. I was being a coward. Veronica's voice dropped. My father had the same tattoo, smaller, on his shoulder. I saw it once when I was 10. He said it was a reminder of the people he couldn't save. Ethan pulled his sleeve down. It's a list. Every mission, every pilot, every life. How many? 43. She stared at him. You carry 43 names on your arm. I carry 43 reasons to stay hidden. Veronica wiped her eyes, straightened. What does Hale want? He wants me to fly again. Classified contract. High risk. No questions asked. And if you refuse? Ethan's phone buzzed. He pulled it out. A new message. Not from Hale this time. From an unknown number. A photo loaded slowly. Lily. In her hospital bed. Asleep. Taken 15 minutes ago. Below it. Tick-tock. Ethan's blood went cold. Veronica saw his face. What is it? He showed her the phone. She read the message. Her jaw tightened. They're threatening your daughter. They're not threatening. They're making a promise. Then we go to the police. And tell them what? That a ghost from a Black Ops program is extorting me? They'll laugh us out of the building. Veronica grabbed her coat. Then we go to the hospital. Right now. And then what? I can't protect her forever. They have resources, I don't. Money, I don't. Power, I don't. But I do. Ethan stared at her. What are you saying? I'm saying you don't have to be a shadow anymore. Veronica's voice was steel. You saved my father's life. Now I'm going to save your daughter's. They reached the hospital in 14 minutes. Veronica drove like the laws didn't apply to her, because in her world they didn't. Ethan was out of the car before it stopped. He sprinted through the emergency entrance, past security up the stairs because the elevator was too slow. 4th floor, room 412. Lily was sitting up in bed, coloring. Safe. Alive. Relief hit him so hard his knees almost gave out. Daddy. She dropped her crayon and reached for him. He held her tight, breathing in the smell of hospital soap and strawberry shampoo. Hey, princess, you okay? I'm okay. A nurse came by with extra pudding. Chocolate. She grinned. It was awesome. Ethan scanned the room. Nothing out of place, no signs of intrusion, but the threat was real. Someone had been here. Someone had taken that photo. Veronica appeared in the doorway, phone pressed to her ear. Security footage from the past 2 hours. I want every face identified, now. She hung up. Looked at Ethan. I've got private security on their way, armed. Nobody gets near her. Rita, the nurse, walked in, startled to see them. Mr. Cole, is everything all right? We're upgrading Lily's room, Veronica said smoothly. Private wing. Better care. Effective immediately. Rita blinked. That wing costs. I know what it costs. Make the arrangements. Rita looked at Ethan. He nodded. She left, confused but compliant. Lily tugged on Ethan's sleeve. Daddy, who's that lady? Someone who wants to help. Is she nice? Veronica knelt beside the bed, her expression softening in a way Ethan had never seen. I'm trying to be. Lily studied her. You're pretty, like the princesses in my books. Veronica smiled, genuine, unguarded. Thank you. What's your name? Lily Grace Cole. I'm 7. I like dinosaurs and space and cookies. She paused. Are you Daddy's boss? I was. Now I think we're friends. Lily looked at Ethan. Is that true? He met Veronica's eyes. Yeah, it's true. Within the hour, Lily was moved to a private suite. 2 rooms, a couch, a window overlooking the city. Dr. Patel arrived, stunned. Mr. Cole, I don't understand. How did you— Don't worry about it, Ethan said. Just take care of her. Veronica pulled Dr. Patel aside. I want Dr. Reina Ochoa flown in from Boston. First class, tonight. Whatever her fee is, I'm paying it. If you need equipment, staff, anything, you have unlimited budget, understood? Dr. Patel stammered. Ms. Pierce, this is incredibly generous, but— No buts. Save that little girl. He nodded, still processing. I'll make the calls. Ethan stood by Lily's bed, watching her sleep. The machines beeped steadily. Her chest rose and fell. For the first time in months, he felt like maybe, just maybe, she'd be okay. Veronica touched his shoulder. We need to talk. They stepped into the hallway. The private security team had arrived. 3 professionals in suits, earpieces, cold eyes. 1 stationed at Lily's door, 2 roaming the floor. Hale sent another message, Veronica said, showing him her phone. Ethan read it. Cute move with the bodyguards, won't help. Accept the contract or lose everything. He handed the phone back. He's not bluffing. Neither am I. Veronica's voice was granite. I've got lawyers digging into Hale's finances. If he's dirty, I'll find it. He's protected. Defense connections, congressional favors. You can't touch him. Watch me. Ethan almost smiled. You're stubborn. I learned from the best. She paused. My father used to say, the people who shine brightest are the ones who refuse to dim their light for anyone. He was talking about himself. But I think he was talking about people like you, too. I'm not bright. I'm a janitor. You were never a janitor. You were hiding. She stepped closer. But you don't have to hide anymore. Veronica, I mean it. Come work for me. Real position. Chief Aerospace Engineer. Name your salary. Ethan shook his head. I can't. The moment I surface, Hale comes after me, after Lily. Then we make him irrelevant. Her eyes were fire. I've got a defense contract presentation in 4 days. Your fix saved the project. I want you on stage with me when we present to the DoD. I want them to see who you are. That's suicide. That's checkmate. If you're public, if you're credentialed, if you're standing next to me in front of Congress, Hale can't touch you. He'd have to explain why. And explanations mean investigations. Ethan stared at her. You'd risk your company for me. My father gave his life protecting the truth. I'm not letting his sacrifice mean nothing. She held out her hand. So what do you say? You ready to stop hiding? He looked at her hand, thought about Lily, thought about Claire, thought about every floor he'd scrubbed, every insult he'd swallowed, every night he'd spent wondering if this was all he'd ever be. Then he shook her hand. Okay, let's do it. 4 days later, Ethan stood on a stage in a suit he'd never owned, next to a woman who used to mock him. The DoD officials sat in the front row. Cameras lined the back. Veronica presented the thermal system, his design, his fix, his genius brought back from the dead. When she introduced him as the lead engineer, the room erupted in whispers. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Hale sat in the third row. His face was stone, but his eyes were panicking. After the presentation, a congressman approached Ethan. Impressive work, Mr. Cole. I'd like to discuss your background. Seems like there are some gaps in the record. Ethan smiled, happy to fill them in. Hale tried to leave. 2 federal agents blocked the exit. Veronica had made calls. That night, Ethan returned to Pierce Industries one last time. The executive floor was empty. He found his old mop and bucket in the supply closet, carried them to the main hallway. He knelt down, dipped the mop, started cleaning. The elevator dinged. Veronica stepped out, heels clicking softly. She saw him and stopped. What are you doing? She asked. Finishing what I started. She walked over, knelt beside him, picked up a rag from his cart, started wiping the baseboards. You don't have to do that, he said. I know. She kept cleaning. But maybe I should have a long time ago. They worked in silence, side by side, CEO and engineer. 2 people who'd found each other in the wreckage. When the floor shined like glass, Ethan stood, looked at his reflection. For the first time in 8 years, he recognized the man staring back. Veronica stood beside him. What now? Now I go be a father, a real one. No more night shifts, no more hiding. And the job offer? He smiled. I'll take it, but only if you stop calling me Mr. Cole. Deal. Eat.